South Sudan has submitted its nationally determined contribution, along with its first national adaptation plan, to the United Nations Framework, Framework Convention on Climate Change. What is contained in these climate action documents can only be realized with the help of climate finance from the developed countries. This call for the developed world to provide resources for the climate adaptation was in the Paris Agreement. It is also justified by the principle of common but differentiated responsibility and respective capabilities in the same agreement. Despite the urgency of climate change, we are yet to receive 100 billion United States dollars pledged by the developed world to the developing world in 2020. While this amount is below the target, we have not received it, and we only hear that 2023 is the time it will be raised. By then, it may be too late. I want to assure her that South Sudan has given 35% to women in the current government. The woman is the Speaker of our National Assembly for the first time. And a woman is the Minister of Defense. So other ministers like whom you have seen here, the Minister of Environment, which we are talking about, is also a woman. As countries, we have contributed less to the emission of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, and the ones bearing the brunt of climate-induced disasters. We need to unite and call upon the developed world to meet its commitment to fund climate adaptation immediately. We cannot cope with the climate-induced disasters indefinitely. Big polluters in the world must live up to their commitments and avail the resources. Currently, over 60% of our people in South Sudan are categorized as food insecure and in need of life-saving intervention. From the climate-induced displacement, mainly flooding, the Republic of South Sudan has been struggling with record floods for the last 2 years. The floods have already destroyed many communities in the low-lying areas. In 6 out of the 10 states. In these areas, people's lives have been altered by internal displacement of over 1 million persons, along with destruction of livestock, wildlife, and crops. These floods induce losses, if not tackled urgently, can lead to increased irregular migration that can affect countries beyond our borders. Another issue of concern to us is deforestation. This is really critical because 99.9% of our population depends on forests as the sole source of energy. To us, a quick transition to clean and renewable energy will alleviate the resources on our forests. In our plan to save our forests, we target to generate 3,000 megawatts of power from hydro, solar, wind, geothermal, and natural gas. Achieving this goal requires financial support, capacity building, and technology transfer. All of which depend on climate finance. To effectively address climate change threat to our region and the world at large, South Sudan would like to: 1. Underscore the importance of adaptation. Our region needs a balance between mitigation and adaptation, where 50% of the climate funds be earmarked for adaptation projects. 2. Stress that the $100 billion that was arbitrarily set is no longer sufficient. This amount needs to be raised upwards. 3. Appeal to all parties that have not submitted their national determined contributions to do so urgently to allow us to keep the 1.5 degrees goal alive. In closing, I would like to affirm South Sudan's commitment to Kampala Declaration of the ministers responsible for environment, migration, and foreign affairs of the government of the member states of IGAD and the East African Community. We will stand by what is agreed in this declaration on its entirety. Let us all go to Sharm el-Sheikh in November, speaking with one voice of this declaration. We have no other choice than to adapt to the changing climate. With faith in humanity, I have that the developed world will live to its commitment and avail the needed resources for this important task. Thank you very much.